All right, so today we are going to talk about selling on WhatNot. Here's the thing, and here's the reason I want to talk about selling on WhatNot is because if you're a reseller, you love to source, you hate to list. And that is the reason that I started selling on WhatNot. I wanted to be able to source more stuff. I just want to spend my time sourcing, but I don't want to list all of that stuff. If I'm sourcing a ton and I'm bringing home like 100 items, I really don't want to list all of those. So I decided to try and see if I could start making an income on WhatNot. Now, if you haven't heard of WhatNot, it's basically a live auction platform. I'll put my link down below. You can get a $15 credit to shop on there just so you can watch some auctions, maybe try it out and see how it works if you've never been on WhatNot. I love watching WhatNot shows and it's kind of what I do at night while I'm watching TV, but I really love selling on WhatNot. And I did post a video maybe 3 years ago when I gave it a very short try. And I didn't find a lot of success with it just because of where I was in my business at the time. Now that we're in a house, as you can see, and we are no longer full-time traveling, I wanted to give WhatNot another try just to see if I could find that reseller sweet spot where I can source a bunch and sell a lot, but not have to list too much. So we're gonna pretend that I'm starting fresh on WhatNot because I really only sold maybe around 100 items or so when I originally did it back in, I think, 2021. So we're just gonna pretend that I'm fresh because I never really got that many sales and it's been 3 years. I started fresh in March. I wanted a full 2 months to see how much I could grow and see if it's something that would be sustainable for my business. And now that we are in May, I have been selling on WhatNot for a full 2 months. I did take 1 week off while we had family in town, but for the most part, I have been selling for a full 2 months. And I have a pretty good idea of how it's gonna go on there and how I'm going to personally grow on there. So really my strategy on WhatNot is to shop at the Goodwill bins. There are a lot of different ways that you can sell on WhatNot. Some people do liquidation because WhatNot is really a lot of volume. So some people like to get liquidation pallets and sell that stuff on WhatNot. I personally do not have thousands of dollars to put into pallets, and there are no pallet sources or liquidation sources anywhere within a 5-hour drive of me that I know of at least. So I am sourcing everything by hand. Now I do have access to a Goodwill outlet with really cheap prices. If I buy over 20 pounds, I can get the items for $1.09 a pound. So my strategy for selling on WhatNot is to source 1 or 2 days a week, about 5 hours each day. So between 5 and 10 hours a week, depending on how it goes. And during that time, I'm looking out for 2 different kinds of merchandise. I'm looking for stuff that I can sell higher price on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. And I'm trying to find items that maybe aren't going to sell for as much on those platforms, but I can sell for a couple of dollars on WhatNot and kind of do a really quick flip. And this is great for multiple reasons because I'm about 30 minutes from my nearest Goodwill outlet. And for me to make that drive, it's an hour round trip to possibly only find maybe 5 or 10 things to sell on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari is not worth it. But combining these 2 types of reselling together is kind of a sweet spot because I can source for both. I can get that really low $1.09 per pound price. And then I can quickly flip the items on WhatNot that will sell on WhatNot, and then I can have a small amount of inventory that will sell for a higher price, but I'm not storing hundreds of items. I have less than 100 items on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. Now I will say I'm doing this very part-time still. Like I said, I'm sourcing maybe 5 or 10 hours a week, and then when you consider the WhatNot shows and the listing and all that, I would say I'm working maybe 15 hours a week at most. So now I want to kind of go over how my shows have gone. It has been kind of a roller coaster. And I'm going to hop on the computer and show you my spreadsheet. It's kind of a messy spreadsheet. It's not a well-polished spreadsheet, but stick with me because I feel like it's going to give you some good info. Before we jump in, I want to thank today's video sponsor, Vendue. Vendue is my favorite reselling tool. I talk about it all the time, but something really exciting has happened and Vendue now has WhatNot integration. So you can cross-post your items to WhatNot from Vendue. So I currently have items on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. And now I can go ahead and cross-post those over to WhatNot. WhatNot is such a different platform from the other online marketplaces, and I think it's a really cool way to sell. And even if you're not selling live, you can have items for sale on WhatNot. You can have a store section where it's just buy it now items, and people can just buy those items. And no, it doesn't really work the way that eBay and Poshmark or Mercari do, where people go on there to just shop your store. But if you are in WhatNot shopping, and commenting on other people's shows and stuff like that, you might get sales that way as well. But if you are selling on WhatNot the way I am, where you're selling live, there's also a buy it now section or a shop section where people can just buy things outright or make an offer on items. And that can be a really good way to blend the 2 different ways of selling on WhatNot. And since the WhatNot fee is only 8% plus 30 cents, that is lower than eBay and Poshmark. And that's just a really great way to kind of diversify how you're making your sales as a reseller. If you want to go ahead and check out Vendue, use the link down below to get a discount on your first month. All right, now we're looking at my spreadsheet, and let's figure out where to move my face. Okay, now we're looking at my spreadsheet, and I thought this would be a good visual way to kind of just show you how my WhatNot shows have been going. I have a lot of information here. So basically all the columns are, this is the date and time of the show when it started. I have length here, which I don't have that for all of the shows because I just didn't record it for the first couple or for the first dozen or so. I have the title I put of the show, the number of items that have sold, the number of items that were sold, the total sales, how many giveaways I did, how much I spent in giveaway shipping and handling, because if you do a giveaway on WhatNot, you do have to pay for the shipping. How much I spent on the giveaway items themselves, promo spend, which is basically on WhatNot, you can pay to promote your show either for 15 minutes or throughout the whole show. You pick an amount of time, like $10 per hour, and how long you want to boost it for, and it will kind of off and on throughout the show kind of boost your show, and that will get people into your show, which is helpful for people like me who don't have a following on there. Extra shipping is just if I miscalculated on shipping and I need to pay a little bit extra on shipping. The WhatNot fees, which are 8% plus 30 cents per transaction, which is important to note because a lot of things sell for like $1 or $2 on WhatNot, and you're paying 30 cents per transaction on those. This is what's left after all of that. And then this is a note on how many items actually sold so that I can calculate my cost of goods, because sometimes I will do bundles. So this column right here, like for example, for the kids shows, I do bundles a lot. So I might have sold 41 listings, but if you come over here, you'll see that I actually sold 57 items, and that's how I calculate out my cost of goods. For adult clothes, I do $1 per item as an average and 25 cents per item as an average for kids clothes. Just because kids clothes are a lot lighter, I'm paying per pound. So that's just a good way for me to kind of guesstimate how much I'm paying for my cost of goods. And then you can see my profit, you can see my profit percentage, and then I'm starting to put in how many hours I'm working there and then calculate my hourly rate, but that's not that important right now because we're not looking at that. So what you're gonna see here is the red lines are the ones where I lost money. And you can see there are a lot of them where I lost money. And then the green ones are where I made a profit of at least, I think, 35% profit or higher. And then the white ones are just, I made a little bit of profit, but not 35%. Which 35% is where I would like to be, at least 35%. I would really like to be at 50%, but I'm still growing. And on WhatNot, that's the thing, is that there's a lot of growing that you have to do, and you just have to stick with it. You can see there's a lot of red towards the top. So let's see. There's a lot of red towards the top, and then it does get a little bit more green and white down here at the bottom. And that's because I'm starting to get a little bit of a following. I'm kind of figuring out what works, and just kind of learning as I go. So right now I'm doing 2 shows a week. I was doing up to 3 shows a week, but I did find that I just couldn't source that much. So I bumped it down to 2 days a week because this is a very part-time thing for me. It's a side hustle. As you can see, I'm not making enough money for me to be dedicating tons of time to it. So 2 days a week is good. I'm usually on for between an hour and 2 hours. And then I spend about an hour, maybe 2 hours shipping. So let's go over all the shows. Maybe not every single one, but we'll look at them. So on the 7th was my first show. It was my comeback show. This was the title that I put there. And I only sold 4 items, and I made $16 because I start all my adult items at $4 and I start all my kids items at $2. I did 4 giveaways and I spent $9.71 on giveaway shipping and handling. I don't remember what I gave away, but it was stuff I already had. And then I did spend $10 promoting the show, trying to get people in. Because here's the thing. If no one is showing up, then you can't sell anything. I wanted to experiment with promoting the show to actually get people into my show, because believe it or not, I have a decent following here on YouTube. I have a decent following on Instagram, but that doesn't translate to people coming to my shows because most people that follow me are resellers, not people who are looking to shop. So that just has not translated to any sort of success for me personally. Extra shipping was $0. The fees were $2.48. So I made, let's go over to profit, negative $10. I lost $10 on that. All right, so I officially finished my first show. I sold a total of 4 items out of the about 60 that I had. At times I only had 2 people in there. I got, I think, up to 9 or 10. I know that it's going to be a slow build, and those 2 people that bought those 4 items, I super appreciate them. I appreciate everybody that was in there, and not every item is going to be for everybody. And I am totally okay with it being a slow build. I didn't do my buyer's giveaway because I said I would do it if I got to 10 sales, but I only made 4 sales. I did give away 3 items, and I did also try the promote your show thing in WhatNot. So what you do is you can click a little button and say how much you want to promote your show for, and they give you an estimate on how many impressions. That definitely did boost my impressions. Honestly, this is just a test run, so I wasn't trying to make a ton of money this time. I'm trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. So that did boost my people to about, or my viewers to about 9 people, but it did cost me $10, and I only sold 4 things for $4 each. So you can do the math on that. I didn't make any money after you think about the giveaways and all of that, but I am in building mode. I didn't lose a ton of money either. Before, I was giving away $5 gift cards all the time, starting things at $1. This time I'm being a little bit more strategic and smart about it. I think the key here is just going to be consistency, and also seeing what people want to buy. Most of the stuff that I sold is activewear. Let's see. So here's everything I sold. I sold a pair of Nike windbreaker pants. I sold a pair of REI pants. I sold a pair of Adidas pants, and then I sold an Adidas like sweatshirt. So basically all activewear. I am just kind of testing out to see what sells. Obviously activewear sells. I had a lot more activewear than what sold. So maybe those just weren't the styles people were looking for, and I just didn't have a ton of people in the show. So yeah, I only sold 4 things, but 4 is better than 0. There were some people active in the chat talking with me, which was super helpful. The worst thing is when no one's talking at all and you're just kind of running things and you feel awkward. I definitely feel awkward live. Even though I do YouTube, with YouTube, I can cut things out if I say something weird or if I don't like the way I said something. Live, it's totally different, and it is not something that comes to me naturally. But I really want to do this. I really want to flip items quickly. I really want to give people good deals. I really want to make quick flips and not have to list a bunch of stuff on eBay and all of that. So I want to make this work, and I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to make this work. You'll see. So the next show I actually did a little bit better. 3 days later, I did kids lots and I sold 16 items. My total sold was $39. I only did 2 giveaways, and my profit on this one was $16. I won't go through all of these. This next one, my profit was $21. And this was a mistake. This is something that I tried to do, I believe, twice, which is a shop my bins haul, where I went to the bins and I came home and I just kind of like started pulling stuff out of the bag and having people buy stuff that way. And I found that kind of on the fly shopping or selling didn't really work really well for my audience. I did this and I sold 1 item, and then I think I did it on, let's see here, bins, car haul, quickie. I sold $0 or 0 items there. And I swear I did 1 more where I sold like 2 or 3 items. So it just didn't go well. So now I know that that doesn't work out well, and having things set up on a rack and being able to pull something nicely off the rack and show it like that is going to work, just works a lot better for my audience than kind of pulling out a wrinkly item and just showing it that way. So the next one, I did a clearance, and I called it Cozy Clearance and New Finds. So some of these items I started at $2 on clearance, and then after I went through all that stuff, because since it was mid-March and I kind of wanted to move sweaters and stuff, I decided to do this cozy clearance where I started everything at $2. I did sell quite a bit of it, and then I did have some newer finds that I was selling for $4. I did sell 41 items, which was quite a bit. So my total sold was $107.25, and I did 14 giveaways. I think this is the key here. I did 14 giveaways and paid $34 in giveaway shipping, and then I paid about $16.50 in giveaway actual items, and then I spent $30 on promotions. So if I hadn't done this, I probably would have made a profit. This together is $80.66, and I lost $35. So I would have profited at like $50 if I hadn't done all this. But I'm just at this point trying to figure out how to get people into my show and how to keep people in my show. And a lot of times that is a way to do it. I think I just went too hard on it. The next show was a kids show. I sold 32 items. I made $103. I did 6 giveaways. I spent $8.10 on giveaway shipping and handling and $12.50 on actual giveaway items. I did $30 in promotional spend. And then after everything, I made $24 on that sale. The next one was new thrift finds. So just like new thrift finds and $2 clearance. So what I was doing is items that I noticed were not going to sell or were not selling after a couple of shows, I was throwing on a clearance at the beginning of the show for like $2. So I was having 5 to 10 items at a $2 clearance that I just didn't think were going to move very well at $4. And then I would move on to the $4 items. So in this show, I sold 42 items. I made $157.80 in sales, and I did 8 giveaways. So I paid $17.90 in giveaway shipping. I spent $4 in giveaway items, and then I spent $22.50 in promotional spending. So I think that on this one, I profited, Let me make this smaller so I can see the whole thing at once. There we go. All right, on this one, I actually profited $46.18. But had I not done bigger giveaway, or had I not done 8 different giveaways plus $22 in promotional spending, I would have made more. But again, are those people going to show up and stick around? I don't know. Without all of that extra spending to try and try to get people in. The promotional spending is really trying to get people in. The giveaway spend is to keep them around. All right, so I just finished my 6th show since I have been back, and things are going really well. I haven't really looked at the numbers yet because we're about to run out and have dinner, but I sold 50 items including giveaways, so I think I sold 42 items. So 8 were giveaways, including my big buyers giveaway, which I do a big like Easter basket. So for every 5 sales, I've been adding one more thing to the Easter basket, and then 1 buyer at the end in a buyer's giveaway is going to win all of it, and that all gets added to their package regardless of how much they've purchased, as long as they win the giveaway. This sale has been my most successful as far as profit, because I promoted less. I think I only spent $22 in promotions through the WhatNot promotions option. I didn't do as many giveaways, so I didn't run them the entire time like I have in the past to keep people around. And I was just smarter about the giveaways that I picked out because I kept my budget on that low, so I wasn't spending like $5 on every single one, because that really does add up when you're sending someone like 8 things. That's like $40 worth of giveaways if they're all $5. And then I did get some bidding wars on a couple of things, which doesn't usually happen for me. I have clearance items starting at $2 and then regular items starting at $4, and that works for me. $4 would be amazing. If everything sold at $4, I would be totally happy with that. But I did have some good stuff that sold for more, including, let me see if I can show you. And this was a really pretty Amaressa. I've never seen or heard of this brand, but there was this exact one pre-owned listed on eBay for $60, and someone got a great deal on this. This was like the first thing I ran. I just thought it was really pretty. I think it sold for around $10. I don't remember. We had a Madewell sweater that got bid up a little bit, and then we got this really pretty Free People dress, and it was either the Free People dress, this is the back, it was either the Free People dress or the swimsuit cover-up that got bid up the most. But if I can get more items that get bid up because I have more people, then that would be amazing. All right, next I did a men's show, and that was a flop as well. I figured I find a lot of men's stuff. It doesn't sell super well in my women's show, but I don't want to like leave it at the bin, so I thought I'd try a men's show. I sold like 1 item, and then some guy came in at the end and bought like 3 things, but it ended up being kind of a flop. I lost $3 on that show just because I didn't sell very much, and I did promote it at $10. So that wasn't great. Next was my baby and kids show on the very last day of March. I sold 41 items and I made $124. I only did 2 giveaways. Some of these giveaways that have a higher giveaway spend were these kind of giveaways where every 5 items I would add something to a basket. At the end, only the buyers would be entered into a giveaway where they would win everything. So I did that kind of a giveaway instead of doing giveaways constantly, which I haven't done in a while. So I should try that again, because I feel like that kept buyers from leaving, because you have to stay in order to participate in that giveaway at the very end. So I might have to try that again. I did spend $15 in promotional spend, and then there were the fees. And on this one, I made a profit of $53. And that was one of my better shows. I did another show with over 110 items, and I thought this show was gonna do well, but for some reason, I just did not sell a lot. It's like my regulars didn't show up, and I just wasn't getting a lot of traction. And I was noticing that around 6 o'clock, like the middle of the day, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock shows were just not doing well for me. And I wanted to find a time that was less competitive and that the bigger sellers weren't on. So I think that might have been like a big turning point for me. So yes, this was 110 items, $2 clearance items as well. I only sold 14 items for $61. I did a couple of giveaways. I did a decent amount of promotional spend. And my profit was, I lost $1.75 on that show. The next one I did a curvy girly sale, or like a plus size sale, because I know that it's hard to find plus size items, and I just thought maybe if I did a whole plus size sale, that would do well, because it's more niched down, it's more specific to people who are plus size. I ended up selling 0 items out of that show, which is a little bit sad. And I was so excited, and I had been gathering stuff for that show for like almost the entire month of March, but that didn't work out. So I guess the men's show, the plus size show, trying to kind of niche down just hasn't been working for me. So I'm going to stick to like more general shows. All right. The next show was a clearance quickie. It was a show I wanted to do like really quick. I think it might have been a sudden death show, and sudden death means that after 10 seconds, the auction is over and it doesn't restart. Normally on WhatNot, if an item is bid on during the last 10 seconds, it gives some more time for other people to bid and like outbid and create like a bidding war. But with sudden death, that's not a thing. It just ends when it ends. So I sold 53 items on this one. I did $123 in sales. I did 6 giveaways, and I did spend a decent amount on giveaway items because I think I did the like every 5 sales, let's add something to the basket. And at the end, the buyer gets the giveaway item, and at the end we do a buyer's giveaway. I did a little bit of promotional spend, which is surprising that this one did okay because I didn't spend much. So I don't know if more people just came that have been following me, or the fact that it was clearance drew people in. I'm not really sure. After fees and everything, my profit was only $10 on this one. I think just because everything started at $2 because it was a clearance sale and I just wanted to move stuff out. So the next one, this is a green one. So that means I made at least 30% profit. So this was a 2-hour babies and kids show. I sold 39 items. I made $101 in sales. I did 3 giveaways, smaller giveaways. I spent about $7 in giveaway items, and I did about $15 in promotional spend. And on this one, I profited $40. This is the one I talked about before, the bins haul quickie, where I just kind of like did a haul right after I came home from the bins, and it just didn't work out. No one bought anything. I was hoping that I could come home from the bins and just sell like 5 items or something and just like replenish how much I spent at the bins, but it just wasn't working out. So I'm not doing that anymore. And so the next one is a 9 p.m. show. And I found that doing shows late like this kind of works out because I personally shop super late. And then a lot of other sellers are not on this late. So I thought this might be a good way for me to kind of squeeze in and get more eyes on my shows because there are not a lot of bigger sellers on. I did try this with the clearance quickie show, and I did do a decent amount of sales. I just think that because it was $2 per item, and you got to remember the fees, 30 cents per item plus 8% plus cost of goods and all of that, it doesn't leave a lot of room for profit. So on this one, we started the show at 9 p.m. It was an hour and 43-minute show. I just called it after hours deals. I sold 37 items. I started everything at $4. I ended up doing $162.50 in sales. I did do quite a few giveaways, and I did spend $15 on promotions, but I did make $65 on this sale. So then the next one was funny because, again, I did another after hours sale, and I think it just depends on who shows up, honestly. On this one, I only sold 7 items. I made $28. I did a couple giveaways to try and get people to stick around. I did a little bit of promotion, but I just didn't have a lot of people buying stuff for some reason. So I lost $2 on that sale. Next up is a kids show. I sold 29 items, did $82 in sales. I didn't do any giveaways during that show. So people were just there to buy, and I didn't have to like get people to stick around for some reason. I did do $14 in promotional spend, so I made $44 on this one. Next, I did a clearance because, as you can see, there's quite a bit of time in between these 2 dates right here because this is when my sister was coming to visit. And I wanted to move stuff out so that I could just source while she was here and not try to run any WhatNot shows while I had people in my house. So I did a $2 clearance show. I had over 100 items that I wanted to do at $2. And I did pretty well selling these items at $2, but again, it's not very much profit when it's $2. So I did 85 sales. I made $223 in sales, but I did do a lot of giveaways to get people to stick around. I did do $15 in promotional spend, which is not obscene. And then after fees and cost of goods, I made $61.25 on this one. So it's a lot more than most of my other shows, but I sold a lot more items. I sold 85 items, and most of the time I'm selling 50 or less. So that's everything I did in March and April. We are in May, and I have done a couple of other shows, which you can see right here. But let me hop back over to the big screen. All right, so hopefully that gave you a good idea of how I did over those 2 months. As you can see, I'm not making a lot of money with WhatNot. But here's the thing. The reason I do it, like I said, is because I want to be able to source and flip things quickly. I want to save stuff from landfill. And I do believe that I am building up something that will be more profitable in the future. WhatNot is something that takes a long time to build. Getting people into your show is not easy. That's why you saw me spending so much money on promoting the shows, on giveaways, so that people, when they got there, they kind of stayed around because the giveaways usually run for 5 minutes and people will enter and they'll wait to see if they won and maybe buy something while they're waiting. Or when they do win something, they do get discounted shipping moving forward because I'm already shipping something to them. So from the standpoint of making a lot of money, WhatNot probably isn't the best use of my time. However, I want to resell at a higher capacity than I'm able to if I'm just sourcing for eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. The bins is just too far for me to go and source for just those platforms because it's not worth it for me to list something that's only going to sell for like $10. And that's a lot of what I find. Selling that on WhatNot for like $4 is great. Selling it on eBay, Poshmark, or Mercari for $10 after I spent 15 minutes listing it, storing it, shipping it, all of that is a lot more work per item. And it takes a lot longer to get that $10. If I can save myself the trouble of listing something and getting $10 by selling it on WhatNot for $4, I will take it because I'm literally holding something up for 10 seconds and then shipping it off, and it's no big deal. That being said, I am going to give WhatNot some more time to see if I can make it work a little bit more. I'm only doing 2 shows a week. I have scaled back. I'm not trying to make it a huge part of my reselling business, but I am trying to make it a consistent part of my reselling business in the sense that I'm going live 2 days a week, usually Thursday at 9 p.m. and Sunday at 9 p.m. That 9 p.m. time works really well as far as getting people in and getting people shopping, but also for my schedule as a mom, there are no kids running around at 9 p.m. My husband is in their rooms trying to get them to sleep and just like laying with them. And it's just a really good time for me to do those shows. Moving forward, I'm going to continue doing that promotional spend to try and get people into my show because I've not used the promotional spend before. And sometimes I don't get anybody into my show. So I'm trying to decide a nice balance between that promotional spend, which will get people to see my show and get into my show, but also that giveaway spend, which kind of gets people to stick around because there's a 5-minute wait between when I start the giveaway and when it pulls the giveaway, so that hopefully they might stick around and buy stuff and enter more giveaways. There are sellers who just run giveaways the entire time. Obviously, I'm not at a point where I'm making enough profit to do that, but I am trying to figure out how to get there because I would love nothing more to have tons of giveaways and tons of sales. So that would be the dream. Another thing I'm excited about is I did mention at the beginning of the video that Vendue, who is sponsoring this video, now integrates with WhatNot. The way I run my auctions is I don't list the items individually. I just say random pull or like inventory item number 1, 2, 3, 4, so that I can quickly move my inventory and not have to list things individually. However, with the Vendue WhatNot integration, I should be able to take all of my listings that I have on Vendue, that I have it listed on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, and list them on WhatNot. So I think that is going to be something that I'm going to play around with. I'm going to cross-post a lot of my items over to WhatNot and see if I can make some sales that way. So that's something that's really exciting that I'm going to try out, and I'm sure I'll do another video in a couple of months on how WhatNot is doing, and I will let you know how that is going as well. There are so many different ways to sell on WhatNot. I'm personally doing cheap sales from the Goodwill outlet. There are a lot of people who are selling higher price items because they're buying really nice liquidation stuff, which I wish I could do too, but I haven't found the sources for that. And there are just so many different ways to sell on WhatNot. If you are interested in selling on WhatNot, I have my referral link down below. There is a little bit of an application process, but apparently it's pretty quick. It took a couple weeks for me to be approved, but my friend who got approved and has had a couple of sales, it took her not very long. I want to say a couple of days, and I was surprised at how quickly they approved her to sell. So if you are interested in selling on WhatNot, go ahead and apply with the link below. Even if you're not ready to jump in, you might as well apply so that it's ready when you are ready. Thanks again to Vendue for sponsoring this video. If you want to try out Vendue, check the link down below. So I really want to hear what you think. I know my spreadsheet was not very impressive. I'm not making a lot of money on WhatNot, but I do think that it has the potential to go somewhere, and I'm willing to put the time into it to see if I can get it to where I want it to be. I'm a little bit scared that you guys are going to tell me that I'm wasting my time, but that's okay. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Bye.